Orleans Saints, okay, as we prepare to enter a critical offseason for the New Orleans Saints, we talked to Nick Underhill about it yesterday. There's a very clear hierarchy of needs, right? You ever learn about Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Where, like, first, I think you got to take care of, like, your survival needs, and then it's maybe, like, your social needs, and eventually you reach, like, enlightenment or whatever, self-actualization. Well, I would say that the Saints, they're a couple levels up the hierarchy, right? Like, they've got their basic survival needs. They got a roof over their head. They got food. They got their basic social needs, but they have not reached full enlightenment yet, right? They still have another level to go, and the way to achieve that would be, first, through getting a quarterback, and then second, through getting a wide receiver. How can you do that? You do it in the free agency, or you do it in the draft. Now, that Matt Corral mock draft that Mark Cumbie sent me, that's pretty interesting. Mock drafts are dangerous at this time of year, though, because you don't really have any idea whatsoever about how things will shake out. Like, maybe Matt Corral, by the end of this, is valued at the top of that quarterback list. Like, you never quite know how that's going to go down. So, the question is, if you're talking about going to the draft or free agency to solve those two problems, quarterback or wide receiver, because of the quality of this year's quarterback class, it feels like in a perfect world, you would probably get the wide receiver in the draft, and you'd probably end up in free agency and or trade for quarterback.
The assumed quarterback class.
Yes.
You don't know. Like, one of the things that we'll be doing here in a couple weeks when we're in Mobile is probably watching that position very, very closely.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And there will be movers and, the combine and all that. So, like, we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And we don't know if Sean Payton, maybe he just falls in love with the guy.
Look, but I do agree with you. Like, when you look at the Saints' history, like, we can't sit here and say, the Saints are going to take quarterback in the first round. They haven't done so since Archie Manning.
Yeah.
So that's if wild. There's ever been, like, something that gives you, hey, the proof is in the pudding here, it's that fact.
And so then the question becomes, okay, sure. Let's say you're going to go wide receiver in the draft. Let's look at what the current quarterback market look like. Let's also look at the teams that are also in the market, because that matters a lot too. I know I'm probably missing some teams here, but these all feel like teams that the Saints will be actively competing for these names. Dolphins, which maybe not. They're on the edge. They're on the edge.
Yeah.
Steelers, 100%.
Yes.
Broncos, 100%.
Yes.
Browns, on the edge. Yeah. Not sure what they're going to do. Washington football team, I would say 100%. I mean, Heineke's fine, whatever, but you're not married to Heineke in any way. Raiders, kind of a maybe. And then, what do you think about the Eagles? You think the Eagles are in that group?
I think Jalen's fine. I think offensively they need to tailor their offense more around his skill set. Since he's already in place, you got him in the second round, so you've got him on the cheap when it comes to starting quarterback. He led your team to the postseason. I mean, I would give him more opportunities. I would just do more for him within that offense.
So another team that could maybe be borderline there. Cody Chauvin in the chat saying Mel Kiper had Kenny Pickett to the Saints this morning. Okay, that's cool. I mean, I would get excited about that, sure. We'll see where it ends up going. So those are some of the other teams that could be involved. And look, let's be clear. We've seen quarterback movement. I mean, just last offseason, the past couple of offseasons, you see Tom Brady switch, which seems crazy, Matt Stafford, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, all Pro Bowlers who had switched teams. So here are maybe. So
you don't think like the Texans, not to cut you off there.
Yeah, I don't know.
What Davis Mills did have times, but obviously like Davis Mills, is he your future? The Panthers with Sam Darnold.
No, I would. You're right. Let's add the Texans to that list. Like I said, I was just trying to go off the top of the dome, and then we'll add the Panthers to.
Well, you don't wear a 7 3/4. I do. So let me help you out.
Okay, you do have a big head.
Yeah,
you do have a big head. I'm sure I'm not too far off though.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe with all this hair I have on my head. I'm looking forward to cutting that later today. But here are 15 quarterback names that could be available. The first, we're going to start, the dreams, and as you'll see, we'll get into the garbage. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, who wouldn't love Aaron Rodgers? Yeah. I cannot fathom that he would leave Green Bay, right? I mean,
I wouldn't say fathom. I mean, not anymore. Not in today's NFL. There's a lot of people believe he'll be in Denver next year. So,
God, 13 wins, 3 years in a row, like 1 seed. That would be not. I don't know if it would like literally be unprecedented. It feels unprecedented to my brain if you were to leave after, and he'll probably win MVP this year.
Yeah.
Like, so you're going to leave after you win MVP, get the 1 seed, 13. It's maybe so.
Well, you're going into year 3 of year 5 of Jordan Love as well.
Yeah.
So now the Packers could be like, look, we screwed up.
Yeah, just eat the cost.
We screwed
That's
up.
what I would do.
We traded up to get him, but you know what? You know what we also did? We won 13 games every year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was bad, and we could have maybe added a piece that won us the Super Bowl, but like he got picked in the 20s, so you don't necessarily have to force anybody to do anything. Like if he was the number 1 pick, number 2 pick, okay, we got to have that conversation. He was picked in the 20s, and I know you traded up for him, but still, like I don't think they'd have to make a move just because of Jordan Love.
So Aaron Rodgers be the one. I don't think that feels very realistic for anybody, or like you said, maybe Denver, like because everybody wants to live in Denver, and I'm sure Peyton Manning's selling on him, John Elway's selling on him, all the old elite QBs kind of getting in his ear a little bit.
Jake Plummer, Bubby Brister,
underappreciated Bronco quarterback. Well, Bubby as well, but following up Elway in those 2 Super Bowls, Bubby was doomed from the start.
Yeah.
But Plummer, man, Jake the Snake,
he's
an underrated quarterback in general.
Yeah.
Tough ass guy. Cajun Cannon, big Jake Plummer fan.
Is he? I can see that.
Big Jake Plummer fan. I think he feels like kindred spirits.
Okay.
Right, tough guy, maybe a little, underappreciated, not the most gaudy stats, but like a consistent, solid starter for years and years.
Okay.
Okay, so after Aaron Rodgers, the dream and one that is realistic for the Saints would be Russell Wilson. Unlike Green Bay, Wilson's time with the Seahawks has gone the complete inverse direction. It's been awful. Giving up all those future resources for Jamal Adams did not pay dividends. It feels like the Pete Carroll era is coming to an end. Now, like Nick said yesterday, it is kind of unprecedented to let a quarterback like Wilson leave, but maybe Seattle's feeling like it's time to hit the reset button. I don't know. I do think this. I do know that Russell Wilson's agent put the Saints on an approved list of teams he would go to. He has a veto trade clause where he could say no. And I do know that Russell Wilson came up playing with the Legion of Boom defense, and he's got to be pining for what it feels like to play with an elite defense once again. And, hey, man, you come down to New Orleans, you're going to be paired up with one of the top 5, top 10 defensive teams in the entire league, which sounds weird to say, but it's the reality of the situation nowadays. And you're going to have AK. We hope to have Mike Thomas, Sean Payton. That's a dream. And it's a dream that is very feasible, in my opinion.
I think so as well. Now, what do you have to give up to get him, and what's that look like?
What would you give up? Definitely 2 1s. Do you go to 3? That feels like the big question.
No, you don't do 3. Ooh,
go Ram style, leverage your future.
That's just so much for a quarterback that's really good, but with his age, I don't think I'd give up 3. Yeah. Now 2 and some change for sure.
Yeah, and 2 and change. I'm sure that'll be like where it starts, right? For sure. So we'll see.
We'll start with 3, and then the Saints will be like, no.
Yeah, I mean, from the Saints offer, like they'll probably like 2 and a second, 2 and a third, so maybe 2 and 2 seconds, 2 thirds. We'll have to wait and see. But I would give up quite a bit for Russell Wilson. Like I think he immediately makes you a contending type of team.
We have to look at when you're talking about giving up assets. You have to look at how many holes do we need to fill? Okay, so we talked about it yesterday. Like if your offensive line's back and they're fully healthy, is there some places maybe you'd like to have an upgrade? Yeah, but you've got a good enough starting offensive line where if they're healthy, you can move forward. Receiver is certainly one of the biggest questions.
Yeah.
It is a real concern, okay? And certainly with Mike Thomas, you can maybe get some of those assets back that you trade for a quarterback. Like if you want to move on from Mike Thomas, you can do so there.
Oh,
defensive backs, I thought they played really well this year. I thought they raised their level of play.
Yeah, Adebo is great.
Linebacker,
man.
like to see obviously what DeMario and all pros doing, but having Pete Warner step in, he played really well. Mm-hmm. You still, you can bring Quan back. Your defensive line feels like it is solidified. Maybe add a defensive tackle interior wise. So you don't have just 10 things that you're like, man, these are gaping holes on our team. You have a couple, so you can give away some assets, get your quarterback, and then with Mike Thomas, still get some assets back where you feel like you can fill out the roster.
Or it's like if you really believe in Mike Thomas, then that's kind of like getting a first round receiver back.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, right? Like,
if it's all kumbaya and you're good, you're on the same page. Absolutely. Still need another receiver. But.
So, I agree. So Wilson's a dream, and then after that, we arrive at Kirk Cousins. We all know about that. That is a classic debate point here. I got to imagine that the Vikings are probably trying to move on from Cousins. Is there any official
Depends on who they bring
official
in.
word on that?
Probably who they bring in, right?
Yeah, I guess I just say I got to imagine because you are changing the regime. It's a regime change, and with regime change, a lot of times you kind of hit the reset button. And Cousins would represent pretty good value, right? Like you could kind of fleece a team a little bit for arguably more than maybe he would be because, well, he would. I mean, look, like I said, dude, while I like Jameis better and everything from a fan standpoint, and the price of Cousins could actually make that maybe easy where it's like he's so much more expensive that you're like, well, the difference isn't that much, so we're going to pay all that. But yeah, Cousins objectively is a better quarterback right now. It's just, God, he's so unlikable for some reason. I know. I don't know what it is. He just is.
You like that?
He hasn't won very much. He's won the one playoff game in New Orleans, which you have to give him props for, but he just has not had that much success. That might be the root of you not liking him, not just how he acts and how he looks.
By the way, speaking of New Orleans.
But, like, who has won playoff games?
I just found this stat out today. New Orleans in their history has won one road playoff game.
That Philly game?
One.
Yeah, is that must have been that Eagles game from a few years ago.
The Bengals have never won a road playoff game, and the Saints have won one.
Yeah, not a lot of playoff, again, like we said.
Like I know. I remember the Rams
0-4
playoff victory.
in those playoffs. So, like, not a lot of good at that point, back in the late 80s, people were just happy to be making the playoffs. Right? I mean, like.
The Dome Patrol making the playoffs was good.
Yeah, Saints do not have the best football history. So you get Cousins. This name's kind of interesting. I think you kick the tires. Matt Ryan.
No way.
Bro, if Matt Ryan was interested in the Saints, you would give him a flat out no way.
I don't think he would be interested. I don't think he would do that to that organization.
Yeah, probably not. No, probably not. I agree, but it would be. I mean, I would take him. Is all I'd take him over Cousins.
Take him for a year or two for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. A little bridge the gap while you kind of figure out your long-term
maybe
solution.
you draft your guy, yeah.
Now, this is the one that may be the new number one on my list outside of Russell Wilson, and we'll go to break after this, but you really got to be intrigued by Derek Carr, especially because the Raiders, too, are in flux right now, right? Do they end up bringing Bisaccia?
Rich Bisaccia.
Bisaccia. Do they end up bringing Bisaccia back?
The Raiders will screw it up.
Is it? I mean, they get rid of Mayock already.
Yeah.
Is it? They were never fully sold on Carr to begin with. Is it time to hit a full reset? And if you look at Carr, he's had a million different head coaches, right? Despite all that, he's been a Pro Bowler. He's put together some nice years. You give him the stability of a Saints franchise, of Sean Payton, of that defense. That's pretty exciting.
Right. You know, you could argue like you give him some weapons as well.
Yeah.
I am not sitting here hating on Hunter Renfrow. I think he is a solid pro football player, but like you need some additional weapons. Like Zay Jones is nice, but he's kind of up and down. Darren Waller missed a ton of time with injury this year. Foster played well, but you know Foster's the second tight end there. You try to bring in Deshaun Jackson after he got released by the Rams, so like he did do a lot. Now Josh Jacobs is a really good running back. Didn't have the year he had the year before, but it's not like the best pieces, and he still made a playoff run and still played really well.
Gulf South says he's going to act like Sean Payton's done using Taysom as the QB. He's 6-2 the past few years. Yes, I am going to act like Sean Payton's done using Taysom as the QB.
Well,
great backup option. And
Taysom
else.
with that Liz Frank too. I mean that's a real injury. You're out for a significant amount of time with that. That's not like, hey, my foot hurts. That's a surgery, a rehab, getting the plate out, rehabbing again. And obviously, like Taysom's biggest weapon is what? It's his legs, it's his feet, moving around. Is he going to be the same? You can't just guarantee that.
No chance. I mean, will he even be ready for the start of the season? I mean, you can't guarantee.
We need to have Matt Mock on soon. He had that injury and came back from it, and obviously played at LSU, won a natty with that injury. I had it, but I wasn't trying to play quarterback.
He had a pre.
Yeah, he had it. He got an 01 or 02 that he got the Liz Frank.
All right, we'll roll through these last quarterback names. I mentioned Derek Carr to end last segment. Love Derek Carr. What do y'all make of Tua Tagovailoa? How does Miami feel about Tua Tagovailoa? He's gotten better. Maybe judge him a little bit too early. Like I do like improvement. That's something to be happy about. But I do feel like all bets are off a little bit after you fire Flores.
They are. They haven't been incredibly happy. I'm talking about the fans and the outside noise.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that has to do with because of who was drafted right after you as well. That's always going to play into the thought process of fans. They know that Herbert went one pick after Tua Tagovailoa. And, they watch him out there. He's a Pro Bowler. He's right on the verge of being an All-Pro. And then your guy has been okay. Like, to say it best, I think he's been okay.
That's true.
He hasn't been horrible. He certainly hasn't been great. He's just kind of been like, bah. So you have to, if you're the Dolphins, like right now is that time to make that decision. Are you fully in on Tua Tagovailoa being your guy moving forward? I think the new coach is going to have a lot to say with that, depending on who they bring in. Like if they bring a guy in that wants to push the ball down the field, he wants a quarterback that can make all the Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, all those type of throws, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Like Tua has a skill set, but that's not his skill set. Now, if you want to bring in more of a Shanahan type where he likes to do some different things, if you want to bring in an offense, kind of like the Colts have done with Wentz, try to make his arm as playable as possible, like, okay, that makes sense. But not if it's a certain push the ball down the field type offense.
Do you think you fit in a Sean Payton system, Tua? He'd be way cheaper to acquire.
He could.
Rookie contract. I'm
not trying to be funny, but the Saints haven't had a quarterback with a great arm in a long time.
Very true.
Right, but they, can he be accurate? Can he be accurate enough though?
Yeah. So Tua is interesting to keep an eye on. Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if the playoff run changes any of this, but this quote is from an article written December 30th on CBSSports.com. It says, "Quote: Trey Lance is the future in San Francisco, and Garoppolo's multiple injuries this year have confirmed it. San Fran will save a ton by either trading or releasing him. The question is, which club will like him enough to let him compete for a short-term job?" Saints, short-term job. I mean, that sounds like a lot of what the Saints are trying to check here. I just don't know. Like, it's funny. Just imagine, because anytime, so in this thing, what you do is you imagine that player in the Saints uniform. I don't know if imagining Garoppolo in a Saints uniform does anything for me. Like, is Jimmy Garoppolo good?
So, Jimmy G's led his team to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl before.
I know.
Obviously, I know there's been other pieces, the defense, the running game.
He threw like 10 passes a game en route to that Super Bowl, like in the playoffs. Like, he didn't do anything. Like, it was the complete inverse of what Joe Flacco did that year, where he just got on fire and literally just carried that Ravens team. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Bad memories.
Chill. I would take Jimmy G in a short-term situation.
Would you take him over Tua? Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think so. I don't know.
God, the Tua is just so unknown. He's been so hit or miss, and he's been in and out of the lineup with injury. That one's just tough. You'd be putting your faith in Sean Payton like you did when Jameis Winston signed, like that Sean Payton could get the most out of Tua or Jimmy G.
And let's be clear, Sean Payton is a force multiplier for all of these guys. Like, you view them more positively because you imagine them with the confidence of a Sean Payton leading them. Now we get to what I would call the garbage bin. Nick Foles in this list, Jared Goff, Teddy Bridgewater, Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, Tyrod Taylor. If you get any of those guys, you're in trouble. Like, if you get any of those guys, then what's the point? And maybe you do just go Taysom, right? I mean, I would those guys and Trevor Siemian are all pretty much interchangeable, maybe except for Teddy. But it feels like there's too much history there to go back to Teddy. And then the great unknown in all of this is Deshaun Watson. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that situation, so I can't even speak to whether or not that is realistic. How about this? If the Bears don't cut Nick Foles, he'll make $10 million as the backup next year.
10?
Unless I read this wrong, and I tried to double check
myself.
They're going to
cut him. They got Andy Dalton.
But unless I read this wrong, and they were talking about the total commitment to backup quarterbacks, I'm pretty sure Nick Foles will be on the hook for 10
Good for you.
Year.
Super Bowl champion, Nick Foles.
Yeah. BD Nick.
Yeah. So Jimmy G's year, going back to that, he threw for almost 4,000 yards in that Super Bowl year, 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Completion percentage was 70% that year.
When was this?
The Super Bowl year for Jimmy G.
Damn. Okay. Strong. The thing about Jimmy G is interesting, though. I almost don't want to give him the Sean Payton bump because he had Kyle Shanahan, right? So it's like, that's already a guy that's really.
He's 30 years
really
old,
good.
though, so it's not like, okay, this is going to be our guy moving forward. You could sign him to a 3-year deal if you wanted to.
That's true. Look, Dick Jones asking about the line in chat on tonight's Alabama-LSU game. It was Alabama -4 when I started earlier. And look, if you use the promo code Baton Rouge, when you sign up for DraftKings right now, whenever mobile betting opens up, $100 will enter your account just by using the promo code Baton Rouge, all one word. Download DraftKings, use the code, play daily fantasy. You can play during the playoffs this week and all the matchup, showdown stuff, win a bunch of money. It's the best. DraftKings.com. All right, yeah, and then Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, none of those are starters. For me, Jared Goff, way too expensive, even though that means he's going to get cut.
Yeah.
And so maybe that makes him somebody that you at least entertain because you know that you could get him for pretty cheap. If they didn't cut him, he's due $90 million over the next 3 years.
90?
$90 million from 22 to 24. Hey, man, you go to Super Bowl in that rookie contract, you get paid, right? Even if you didn't really do much of it. Another guy that would not be getting the bump, the Sean Payton bump, because we've seen him with McVay. All right, when we get back, let's check in quickly with Chris Blair ahead of his trip to T-Town. Keep it locked right here on Off the